Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rollwise Show, the place where we play and talk about games. Today, we're actually going to be playing a game. This is going to be our first session into the system Death in Space. We've already made some characters and everything like that, and so actually we're going to be playing just a quick scenario to give these rules a little bit of a try. So what kind of, what is Death in Space? As we talked about in our session zeros, Death in Space is published by Free League. It's kind of a space trucker, kind of gritty future type of deal. And so kind of expect it to have a little bit of an OSR feel. Expect it to have a little bit of I'd say it's fairly rules light in terms of how it plays. But we're going to put it through its paces today. So are you guys ready? And can you explain the characters that you created in our last session zero? Jeff, do you want to start first?
To a degree. And there's not much to them. My character's name is Walker Armager. His background is he's an isotope coder, although I suppose he's no longer an isotope coder, seeing as he's doing space trucking now. And I can't imagine how those two worlds coexist. So
let's just say you're freelance.
Yeah.
We work?
Sure. Maybe I was an isotope coder during the war.
You might have been.
And then the gene splicing ended. I have no idea. It just seemed like one of those things they threw in the book, if I'm being honest.
Well, there's a lot of things that are just more prompts, right? Something for you to think about and all those kind of things. I'm not even sure personally what an isotope coder exactly would entail, but I'm curious to find out.
I did like 10 minutes of research, and it's definitely someone who codes isotopes. So, that's about as far as I got. So, I think the thing that people notice the most about me is I wear flamboyantly colored robes that are made out of reflective materials.
All right. And one of the things that is interesting is that each character in this game has an origin. Jeff, what was your origin?
Well, my origin benefit is that I have future memory, so I've already been here. So once per session, I can ask the referee for directions.
Yeah, because he is a velocity cursed. One of the side effects of the universe getting a little bit strange in its old age.
Yeah, see, on this character sheet, I forgot the velocity curse thing because it's like a 1 pixel dot in the middle of a 4 pixel wide box. It's really hard to tell that thing is even checked.
It is impressively hard to see that small checkbox.
No, until you said velocity cursed, I was like, wait, no, we did talk about that. And then I'm looking at the sheet and I'm like, why isn't it checked? And I go, oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure why your checkbox is literally 2 pixels across, but it is. But that's the origin that you are. And each origin comes with 2 advantages. As he said, his advantage is the future memory, which is kind of cool. You've already been here.
2 advantages, you pick one.
Yeah, 2 advantages.
You got to pick one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Brent, who are you playing for this scenario?
Well, Issa, and my background is my character was an interstellar soldier during the war. And they are void, which is I've kind of seen the edges of space, the intergalactic endlessness, and I'm kind of drawn to that. And my advantage or origin benefit is Voice of the Void. I can make nearby electronics emit static and crackling whispers of the darkness around us.
Okay. Well, and little did we know, we actually had one of these folks was on the winning side of the war, if there was actually such a thing as the winner.
Apparently I rolled on the table. I was on the winning side.
You're a winner. So okay. So we're going to be jumping into the Tenebris system. This is kind of your warm up, just to kind of set the flavor of the area and what's happening here. So the Tenebris system, a century ago, someone found gems here, extraordinary stones that grew like cysts in the soil of barren moons. They could reflect light, or they could reflect light in ways that made advanced technology possible. Bridger ships, weapons, things that changed what was achievable. And as with any type of resource, then everyone fought over them. The Gem War ended a decade ago. Technically, someone won. Jeff's character did. In practice, everything that required a steady supply of gems and functioning trade networks, which was pretty much everything, stopped. Now you're at a point where there's no new ships, no new weapons, no new really anything. What exists gets recycled, repaired, and recycled again. The void between the stars carries a static now. It bleeds into electronics. Some people say they hear words in it the farther they get from known space. You are two people with a ship of unknown origin, 26 halos between the two of you, if my math is correct, and pretty much a proximity alarm with no batteries. Welcome to the Tenebris system. So, you, at this point, you guys are pretty much, you do odd jobs, to say the least.
So did Jeff not get any starting equipment? Because the proximity alarm's mine.
It was just more of a
get
joke.
Starting equipment.
Oh.
But mine is, I've got food rations, a light EVA suit, 5 military grade light sticks, because they're way better than the non-military grade light sticks. A tent for extreme weather.
Actually, they are. Military glow sticks are a lot better than non-military glow sticks.
Yeah. It's just a funny joke because for some reason you get a proximity alarm that needs batteries. I don't know why. That's an interesting choice for them. So, so now you're pretty much people that are willing to work almost any type of job. You have your ship, and I would say that right now you're in between jobs, drifting. And I wouldn't say necessarily drifting without purpose, but since you are between things, let's kind of talk about how your characters handle that time when you're not actually working and everything like that. So you two have met at some point. You guys, didn't you mention in character creation you kind of been met as part of a contract or something like that, Brent? What was the reason why you two got together?
We didn't talk about it. I was a contractor in the war, which is probably where we met. I was a mercenary, probably working for the same site as Jeff's character. We probably met on some planetary conflict.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. And so in your character, Jeff, I would say that, between your time as kind of Isotope cover coming over to this, do you feel like as a velocity curse, like how do you spend your time in between these jobs? Do you feel like that's more torturous for your character, or do you feel like that's because it's like you've already been so many places before? How does your character handle that type of stuff when you're not actively doing something?
I think I meditate a lot.
Yeah. Do you have like a space that you've carved out on the ship, or do you just like take a chair in the mess?
Wherever it is. I don't really care if it bothers other people.
Yeah.
There probably isn't a bunch of people on the ship. It's probably
just you two at this point.
Me, so no.
Yeah, if it's just us, then it really isn't a problem. But yeah, no, I don't think I'm super worried about where it is. If I don't have something to do, I'm probably reflecting.
Yeah. Okay. And so Brent, being that you're the contract mercenary and everything like that, you have that.
I was during the war. I don't think we are now.
No, not necessarily. But I was just curious. You have that belt buckle with the star compass. Is that something you've shown to Jeff at any point? Do you look at it? Where has it pointed you?
It's broken, so nowhere.
It says it only works sometimes.
It's broken. I consider it broken, so I don't really pay attention to it.
He tried to use it once. It didn't point it obviously wasn't working, and so he hasn't tried it again.
Fair enough.
I have no idea.
Does that mean you're more of does that make you more no nonsense where you see it and you're just like, I'll just save
I keep it more as a keepsake. It's more of a keepsake. Somebody gave it to me during the war, and I keep it more as a keepsake because the idea of what we're doing on the ship is I'm trying to reach out in the galaxy to see more of the void.
Okay. Sounds good. So there's plenty of void out there to be seen.
I think you
All
picked the
right.
right job then, if that's what you want to see.
All right. So he looks like he's looking to see more of the void. Jeff, what about you? What is your character really trying to get more of?
Honestly, there's a velocity cursed. I don't think other people are super comfortable around me.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find a certain amount of peace and quiet before the curse continues to get worse and I, can't hold together. Because
All
I
right.
look like I'm flickering in and out of reality all the time.
Okay. And so, the day in the life between the two of you is, do you guys check job boards? Do you guys have contacts you're checking in for work? How does that typically resolve for you both?
I assume people
Well,
call on us more than anything because I don't think we're the type of people that actively search for jobs. I mean, my
if
character's
we're
pretty
desperate, I'll
much
check job boards.
communing with the void as best as he can.
Okay.
All of the really good jobs are probably done in boardrooms with contracts and things
And most
like
people
that.
probably don't want to talk to us very much because we're both fairly strange.
Just a little weird. Fair enough.
No, we're a
Fair
lot
enough.
weird.
So,
but yeah, I would imagine we have some sort of a reputation and some contracts.
I mean, Jeff's character glitches and and time streams out of reality in and out. My character, like, radios crackle when he's around, and he wears a mask all the time that has a synthetic voice, and he's looking towards the edge of the universe constantly. So yeah, we're pretty weird.
you show up at the spaceport and people know who you are. Fair enough.
Yeah, well, I think we're developing a reputation. We're easily identified, and we're willing to take on jobs that may be on the fringe.
I mean, what work have we done? Like, where are we starting? Have we done work before? Do we have a reputation?
Probably a little, at least somewhat
I'm
of a
pretending like we're
reputation.
starting to get one, at least in certain areas.
Yeah. I would say there's no reputation score that I saw. So, I mean, reputation is kind of a little bit a mix of.
And I'm constantly trying to find us parts to move our ship further out towards the edge of the galaxy and fix my arms.
always got to fix those arms. Fair enough. So, okay. Well, I just to kind of get a little bit of a sense for your characters and everything like that. I would say that this is a fairly similar day. You guys you're on a heading, which doesn't really take you anywhere close to much of anything in the Tenebris system at this point. Brent, my read of what you just said is that, you kind of like to explore the darker, deeper parts. And so, as it's kind of away from the core and the iron ring and some of the more like trafficked zones, I guess would be the way to say it.
I mean, basically we run the ship as far as we can and then we drift for a while is basically what I see, because the void is what I want to be part of. So
okay. So as you guys are kind of in a drifting phase, whether or not that makes you uncomfortable, Jeff, just to kind of be listless in space, something odd happens. More odd. How about that? Is that
Okay.
you've been on the ship long enough to know that your companion does have connections to these types of things, and they're just kind of weird electronic and static that goes through the mics and everything along those. Your speakers, kind of have that as they go, as the disruption comes in and out, sometimes more, sometimes less than others. But this is a little bit weird because your speakers, they crackle, like that popping that speakers will do when it sounds like somebody has got like a feedback, like a microphone a little bit too close, and the feedback crackles. And then the emergency lights flicker just once, but they flicker on which is not something you actually expected to happen. And suddenly a voice comes through. It's flat, synthetic. It's neither warm nor cold. And you hear it say, "Attention. This transmission is intended for the crew of the vessel designation Explorer's Oath. Your current situation has been assessed. A contract opportunity is available. Details are as follows." And this is kind of weird. This is the first time that you've actually had someone kind of take over your intercom system. So at this point, Jeff and Brent, where would you be in the ship at, like just in your normal part of your day when you're kind of doing your listless drifting?
I probably have a set of quarters that's like, I think we each probably have our own quarters, a room that is our quarters. And my quarters are probably there's probably a cot like in the middle, like a metal cot. And then the walls are covered in like speakers and crackling things and a window to stare out into the dense sky. And then we do repairs whenever we have like the pieces to do the repairs.
Okay.
So that's probably what the day is actually spent, is doing repairs, communing with the void, and then doing repairs when I can.
Okay. And Jeff, where would you be at this point? If you were to
he would
imagine
be in
yourself.
his room, then I would probably be somewhere around like the main computer. I mean, I don't know if this is big enough to have some sort of a bridge or a helm or something. Not that the computer needs help to fly through space, but just in case
Well, we
anything
have
happens.
what pieces of the ship do we have again?
You have 4 components. So in this case, because we don't have any of the actual stuff outside of the modular stuff, you have a command center, crew quarters, life support, and a mess hall.
Okay, so plus our little rooms. So you're probably in the command center.
I'd probably be in the command center, and then like when I'm meditating and stuff, and he's working on stuff, then I'm probably in the crew quarters or my own quarter. Like if we have 2 sets of quarters, however it works.
And I think it's probably only the 2 of us keeping this ramshackle ship
hunk of junk going. Sure.
So Jeff, as you see the as you hear the message and it kind of like startles you out of just kind of your focus and everything like that, scanning the panels, you notice that one of the panels says that it's running an exe that you didn't authorize, which is a little bit strange.
That's odd.
And basically the exe is what seems to be feeding to the shipboard speakers and everything like that. And basically, as you can see, that it's like it says executed. So something has already happened to your ship in terms of what's going on.
I'm gonna try to see if I can figure out, if it's done any other damage or taken over any systems. Try and see if,
okay,
maybe some diagnostics. See what's happening.
So you're kind of furiously typing. The message continues. And I think I said it, a contract opportunity is available. Detail are as follows. Objective, extraction of research data from a remote facility. Location coordinates will be provided upon agreement. Estimated mission duration, short. Risk classification, elevated. Compensation, 300 hollows upon acceptance, 300 hollows upon verified data delivery. Terms negotiable. And as you're typing, Jeff, you hear like the silence, and there's just enough static to make you wonder like what's happening. And as you are navigating through the computer and you're looking to see what happens, is it looks like basically a small, what would be effectively like an AI unit was installed. It is probably the smallest AI unit, barely much more than a simple, like a simple language tree or something like that that's going through this. And then as soon as you find it, you see what's happening. The speakers go up again to say, this unit is authorized to answer questions in finalized terms. You may respond now.
I hit the intercom to Yuval's cabin and ask if he heard the message and if he wants to come to the command center to talk to this newly installed AI unit in our ship?
I come out to hear the message and talk to you.
So I look at him and I kind of raise my shoulders and my eyebrows and like, what could it hurt?
Play the message. We'll find out.
All right. So I asked the AI unit. It sounds like we're going to take the contract. Why don't you tell us more specifics?
Okay. The speaker kind of crackles to life and it says, "Agreement confirmed." And you see upon one of the screens basically like a folder opening up, and you can tell that pretty much what it is it's a data transfer that indicates that's where you can collect your 300 hollow certificate, and it's pretty much the same as it's a certificate of payment effectively. Not unusual in data transfers and stuff like that, but interesting that it was already on your computer. Effectively, it seems like it was one of the files that was downloaded along with this AI package that was uploaded. You see pretty much a few more downloads happening as it basically it seems to be importing, or I would say exporting to your computer, coordinate package and information as to the bare minimum information as to what the job is and everything like that. And then as soon as you're done, you can see that a burst transmission is radioed out from your computer, not approved by you, and then the AI deletes itself, runs kind of an expunge on itself to remove itself from the computer.
Okay, what is the contract? Did it not tell us?
I told you. You are to extract research data from a remote facility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
but
that.
did it give
It
us
didn't
the
give us any-
coordinates?
Yeah, it didn't give us any more information than that. Okay.
Yep. It gives you the coordinates. It tells you, it basically says that, not only have you confirmed the certificate, it's everything checks out there. The coordinates basically take you to a place that is relatively close, considering how you are kind of at the edge of space. For you guys, and especially you, Brent, you probably think that this is probably the reason why you may have been selected, is because you're luckily very close to this unit. So instead of taking weeks to get across the system from some other odd job type folks, you guys are literally going to take just days to get there. The interesting thing is that the facility and everything that you see, it doesn't look as though the facility has got any public records that you can access or anything like that. But the file does mention that it's property of XG, which is not an acronym that either of you are aware of. It indicates that the mission is to extract data only, and that personnel at the facility, their current status is unknown.
Does it tell us what type of data? Like, is it just from the computer? Is it all the data from their computer?
It's a specific classification that they're working on a project there. It's basically the project designation X13. And so that is the data that needs to be retrieved and taken to a rendezvous point that's a little bit closer to the Iron Ring once it's extracted.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we set course and look at there's any other pertinent data that came, or if it's
it. So the data that you have is relatively light. I mean, like I said, it doesn't, like when you, and looking at it from your perspective, Jeff, kind of being in the different files and everything like that, you don't see anything besides the most bare minimum. They don't mention what the project is. They just mention like that's the file group that you need to extract from the facility. You guys may or may not be
stealing
surprised.
this.
Yes.
It doesn't it doesn't seem to imply one way or the other. It says that your job is recovery of said files, and it's really quite limited. It doesn't even tell you the number of personnel or anything like that on the facility. It doesn't tell you your status. It just says that it's a facility.
And it says
that
they
belongs
don't know the status of the facility.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go with that. We have permission
to get in the facility.
I'm assuming we're stealing it.
Fair enough. And
that way we have all of our bases covered.
Somewhere betwixt the two, we fit it. We find a common ground.
You are borrowing permanently from.
I'm just saying, if somebody asks, we accepted a contract to recover the data.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't accept a contract to steal the data.
What's really interesting, though, is that the fact that they basically transferred a package to you that included money, which it's a really brave thing to do. You haven't really seen that in a contract negotiation before, but also 300 hollows is a fairly substantial payday.
But we have 300 hollows now, so.
Yep. So whether or not
before we go to the planet, we should.
Oh, it's a space station, not a planet.
Or before we go to the space station,
mm-hmm.
Are we close enough to somewhere where we can buy equipment for something of this nature? Now that we have 300 hollows.
You're pretty far away. Like I said, you were part of the drift exploration part of the void, which really is what seems to be the main reason why they selected you, is because your distance to the station was relatively close, but you aren't really that close to anything else. It would take you a couple weeks to get back to anything remotely resembling a place to purchase something.
Okay. Cool. So what we have is what we have.
So we have no robot bodyguards, no guns, nothing. We just have...
We should have guns.
We don't have guns. We don't have any equipment.
We have to be able to repel boarders.
You've got a pipe. What do you guys have?
I'm saying I have a club made out of pieces of the ship, but that's it. Like, I have a planetary parachute, proximity alarm, and a flashlight.
Yeah, I don't have any. And I don't have any weapons.
Yeah, we don't have any gear.
I have my shades.
We don't have any gear, and we're nowhere close enough to get gear.
And an EVA suit and a tent, so we can sleep. Oh, I have a deck of holographic playing cards, so I can play 52 pickup if anybody confronts us.
Or what is that X-Men's name? Gambit? Is that who do the?
Yeah, I can't particle charge the cards. I can't transfer energy into them and then throw them.
All right. So yeah. So I mean, it's up to you if you want to go that way. It seems as though the offer was a time-sensitive offer when looking through the notes, meaning that they wanted this to be recovered as soon as possible.
We're closer to there than
we don't have
a
choice. We don't have a choice
but
to go.
We're kind of screwed.
So yeah, we'll go, and I guess I'll hit people with the club if I have to.
Okay, sounds perfect. It's really for the best. The best type.
As long as we're liberating data, we might need to liberate some, guns off of security personnel or something.
Okay. So, turning your engines to burn, setting the coordinates in your system and everything like that, they pretty much you when you travel to the coordinates, you're in dead space. You don't see any running lights. You don't hear any transponder pings. You're in pretty much an area that if you weren't actually directed to this place, there's very little reason that the traffic would be coming out here. I mean, if you were to pass through this area to get to another system, that's about it. This is not between anything. Okay. So how do you guys approach it?
What does you said it's a space station, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the space station look like it is active?
Well, you don't see anything where you're at right now. The coordinates you arrived at don't show anything.
Then I guess we would scan with our sensors to see what's around us?
Yeah, there should be ship sensors. We should be able to tell if
There
there's
should be
a
something that we
space
can
station
see.
nearby.
Okay.
Unless we're just a dart that we throw through space until we hit something.
Perfect. Let's roll a tech roll. Who would like to roll me a tech roll? Now, difficulties are 12 for everything.
My
I'll
tech
roll
is
it.
-1.
I'll roll it 1 second. I didn't have anything open to roll the dice.
Okay.
It's just 1d20 plus our
Mhm.
thing, right?
Yep.
And the tech roll is actual tech. Okay.
Yeah, there's a stat or ability.
Oh, I didn't make a 12.
Oh, what'd you
So-
get?
I got a 10. So I get a void point.
That's correct. You get a void point. So and just for those of you that are listening, how it works is that when you make ability checks and everything like that, if you succeed, you of course have a success at whatever the check was. However, if you fail, you get what's called a void point. Void points are the system's way of adding an interesting element to the next rolls, because if you spend a void point, you can get advantage. However, if you roll with that void point and fail it still with advantage, then you can get a cosmic mutation, or you can use it to activate cosmic powers and everything like that. So basically, Brent, what you notice as you're going through and scanning through the area and everything like that is that you you ultimately do find something. It's about 40 kilometers from where your current point is. The reason why it's so hard to to see is that, first of all, the station is pretty much just it's been designed to be not seen through any kind of visual inspection or anything like that. It doesn't seem to have any transponder ping. It's pretty much just this. It's in stealth mode, for lack of a better way of putting it. The sensors on the ship, unfortunately, can't tell you very much more about what it is. But kind of getting a little bit closer and seeing it, the one thing you do notice, or there's a couple things you notice about the station itself. The most obvious thing is that the station does have one of the compartments. Um, it basically looks like it was vented. So it's pretty much peeled like a banana outwards, and you can see that there's still residual heat from what probably was some sort of an explosion or something like that. But as you try to use your sensors to get more information from it, it's not telling you anything about the status of the personnel
So I
inside.
did. So the sensors worked. I just didn't find anything out about the ship, about the space.
Yeah,
station.
you
I
don't know.
did. We can visually see that it looks like there is a hull breach
Mhm.
in the ship. So
Yep.
that's what I tell you with my weird synthesized voice, is that it looks like there was a visual confirmation is there's a hull breach in the station. Part of the station probably vented. We can't really tell if there's anybody on it or not.
Yeah, and it also, you weren't able to get any kind of information about the systems aboard the ship either. So, what do you guys do at this point?
Well, so I guess I
I think we try
suggest
to get closer.
I suggest that we dock and we send the guy with the EVA suit in to see if there's any atmosphere, because I can't go in. I don't have an EVA suit.
Okay. So, looking at the station itself, you do see that there is what appears to be like a service tunnel. The service tunnel seems to be
I mean, there should be a docking. We should be able to dock the ship, right?
and the service tunnel would be the place where you would be able to dock. You could send out your dock over to
Okay.
that. Of course, you could do an EVA into the vented compartment if you wanted to.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but everything inside of that could be locked down if there are pressure doors and stuff held. I'm assuming there's some sort of technology like that, so that one explosion doesn't take down the whole station.
True.
So, but it's probably harder to get in through that way than it is through the I think we should try to dock and see what happens. That way we can both go together.
Well, first we send a message. Like we'll send a message to the
Well, yeah, we'll
station
try
and see
to
if they answer.
hail them.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell them that
So-
we're trying to render aid.
So sending off a transmission, you can see that pretty much you send something, but there's obviously nothing that's sent in return.
Good.
Kind of looking at your background, Jeff, you're kind of doing some stuff related. I guess your isotope coder background, we'll use that a little bit here. As you can see that pretty much as you're sending the message or anything like that, this is just like the facility is a dead space. Like it doesn't seem to, like when you transmit it that way, you're trying to look for any kind of reaction from the
Having been a
system.
soldier, does it look like the station was attacked? Like, are there scorch marks, anything like that?
The only place that shows any sort of
Do
damage is
ships have the ability to attack other ships in this?
They do.
Okay, there is
But-
ship-to-ship combat. Okay.
There is. But in this case, it does not look like that's the case. It looks like the only place that there's any type of external damage is the compartment that's blown out. You also do see
Okay.
that there is a cargo vessel that's docked on one of on basically another port on the side. But the rest of the station is intact from what you can tell visually.
I try
And
to
then
contact
cargo-
the
is the-
cargo vessel as well.
And is the cargo vessel intact?
It is.
Okay.
You can't, and unfortunately you can't. I mean, it's at least intact, but you can't tell, the state of the inside of the vessel. And it's a very small vessel, like maybe a 2-person vessel kind of thing.
So is ours.
True. I like to imagine yours is bigger though, because it has the potential for upgrades.
Yeah, if I put a spotlight on the cargo ship, can I see a name and try to hail them?
Same thing. There's no response that seems to come back to you.
Okay. Then I say we try to go in, lock the doors behind us, and try to get in.
Yeah, everything looks dead. I actually said that to you. I say everything looks dead from where we are, which is
Okay.
good for us.
Yeah, and honestly, from your experience, Brent, the at least the entry point is going to be straightforward. Now you guys have you've got a way to put Jeff in his EVA suit.
Yeah, and then
You're
there's
gonna
an
lock 'em in.
umbilicus that probably attaches to a
Yeah, if we can dock, I shouldn't need the
yeah, like if
EVA
it-
suit.
no, yeah, you do, because you don't know if there's atmosphere on the
Yeah,
space
you would
station.
still.
Oh, okay.
You don't know life support's on. You don't
I'm
know.
assuming if it wasn't exposed to the vacuum of space,
I mean, it was.
that one compartment was. We're not going in that compartment. We're going in the service tunnel.
We don't know what other compartments were exposed. We have no idea.
They have
And-
some technology that's blocking our sensors from telling if they have atmosphere and what the temperature is. And
Mike said I failed my roll. It didn't give us any component on what.
okay, then
any
I'll
signs
put up.
of life.
I'll
So
put on the EVA suit.
yeah, so we put you in the EVA suit. We dock our umbilicus dock to get to the airlock, and then hopefully we can run the airlock and see if there's atmosphere inside. I can come in and join you. If there's not, I can't. Because
Right.
unless you can
Okay.
find me an EVA suit on the ship.
Right.
And then bring it
No,
back.
I get that part.
So, let's see. So basically, as you are entering into, so you connect, everything connects like it should. There's no weird issues. I'll just tell you that. I'm not even sure what weird issues say, so that's probably the weirdest way to say that. There's no weirdness that happens as you dock. Outright. But so once you get into,
it's basically standard docking. Like I said, the umbilicus, we connected the umbilicus without a problem. That's all probably automated. There's probably an AI that helps with that. And then once it locks in, the lock trips the airlock, the initial airlock door, which opens, fills the airlock with our atmosphere. Then he'll go inside, press a button, close that side with our atmosphere in it, and then open the second airlock door, which will expose him to the atmosphere inside the station.
Yeah. So basically, and that's pretty much how it
If
seems
there's
to work.
power, is there power? Like, does the door open?
So here's kind of what happens. So Jeff, you get to the outer door. It looks like the outer door has a manual override, and you can tell after checking the station information there is that it does seem as though that there is emergency power. So the door itself, it's not further locked other than
So I got to cycle it manually, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you find that there is, once you go inside, there is another door. However, this door will require a tech roll or a key card. It does seem as though it does require a key card.
I will try to do a tech roll.
Okay.
So the outside door required like a manual. So like there's
like a crank or something,
or a wheel to open the outside. So that was the outside door with our atmosphere.
I got an 8.
The inner door required the tech roll. Then,
yep.
Right?
So basically, as you're going through your coding background, you're not bad with computers and everything like that. However, due to the lack of full power, you get a void point. Perfect. You do know that you're only able to get the door halfway open. You're not able to fully get the door through your brute force hack, meaning that you can get through, but you'd have to squeeze. And because I like having you roll, I might have you roll I might have you roll a dexterity roll to get through. If you're trying to get through the door at this point.
No, I'd really rather not do a dexterity roll.
What happens when the door opens?
Good point. I was going to just mention that. So when you open the door, you do find that there is atmosphere on the inside. It looks as though the emergency systems are at the base level of life support and everything like that. So there is still atmosphere. It's still usable.
Okay.
It's still safe. Your initial scan doesn't indicate that there's any toxins or contaminants in the air. So you're not like going to take off your mask and get blasted with radiation or something. But you from your own experience know that the full power of the station would make you feel much better about being on the station.
I radio back to Yuval to tell him what's going on. That it does look like they're on minimum life support. The air is breathable, but probably not for long. I don't know if there's any survivors, and I've only got the door partially opened. So my understanding is I can spend a void point to roll with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And how does advantage work in
the
system?
You could just wait for me, and I could go through first.
Well, do you want to? Exerting is going to be not super fun and minimum,
I have a +1 to my dexterity.
Okay.
Okay.
But
so do you want to keep your EVA suit on then, Jeff, or do you want to?
I was going to keep it on until we could get the try and find some power and see what we could get going. See if it's an easy fix.
So are both doors open?
So the external door is open that leads to your ship, and then the internal door. Well, I mean, it's openable. You could open it back up, and then the internal door
equalized.
You said he has it cracked, right?
Yeah, it's enough that you'd have to squeeze through.
Well, but I'm gonna close the outside door just in case something happens to the ship and it doesn't wreck.
Right. No, we want the door to our ship to stay closed, but you should be able to cycle it. The pressure should be equalized so you can come in, and then we can close it again.
Yeah. So I'll come in, shut the door, and then I'll make the roll to squeeze through.
Okay.
Nope. I'll spend my void point.
Woohoo! Do we get a cosmic mutation already?
How do I roll let me do the roll for the void point first.
It would just be, it's like rolling 2d20 to roll with advantage.
Great, but I already rolled 1d20. Can you spend it after, or do you have to spend it before?
I actually don't know. Here, let me check. I think I'm fine with you spending it now.
I rolled the same thing. So how do I roll? I rolled a 4 both times.
We've now rolled 4 times, and have a 9, a 9, a 3, and a 3.
How do I roll for see if I get a cosmic mutation?
Okay. So, let's see. Representative. Okay, so you get a void. Let's see. Using let's see what. Okay, it's one. They can enforce 4 void points at any time. Okay.
But I didn't get a void point for the first failure because I chose to re-roll it, right?
Correct. Let's see. Okay. Roll 1d6. Okay, so roll 1d6 if the result is equal to or lower than the current amount of void points after the spend.
I have 0, so I can't get them. I can't.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
The void point though, you don't get a cosmic mutation if you use a void point. You can activate a cosmic mutation.
No, so you get what's called void corruption. So in this case,
and the roll fails. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yep. So you can get a void. I say cosmic mutation, but it's really a void corruption.
And he's got 0 void points, so he can't. Yeah,
I can't get one.
Yeah, you got to roll a d20. You're getting corrupted.
No, he can't. He can't. Well, he can't actually roll.
I can't.
He can't.
I can't get a 0. I can't get a 0 on a d6.
I thought you rolled a d6, and if it's equal to or lower than the current amount of void points,
yeah,
it has to be equal to or lower. So you're going to be higher no matter what. Okay, so you're not corrupted.
It's kind of an interesting component that you don't get void points for the failed roll. That was me
misunderstanding.
Yeah, so
regardless.
And I don't get another void point. So I just failed to go through the door.
So basically, well, it's not that you failed to go through the door, but you notice as you're going through, you're trying to sneak. You basically push your way through, Brent. And what you notice is as soon as you do that, you see like a little light flashing up in the corner by the door on the inside of the thing. From your soldier background, you just tripped some sort of alarm somewhere. I'm not exactly sure what that means here.
Okay. I look for around on the outside of the door. Is there a way to open it anymore for Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you get inside, there's a manual thing you can use to release the rest of the door. And to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of
so I open the rest of the door so you can get in.
Okay. So to give you a sense of like what the inside looks like, pretty much everything is red. You see that emergency lights are the only thing that are providing light at this point. You see the strips along the floor casting their red light upwards. You obviously know that the air recycler is running, and you can kind of, now that you're inside the facility itself, you can kind of hear it laboring a little bit. And Jeff, if you're still in your EVA, and Brent, you're in your mask, your mask doesn't have any sort of filters or oxygen supply itself, does it?
No. Okay. It's not an effective EVA suit. It's just hide my face.
So
I have that, my robes, and my uniform on.
Okay. You can kind of taste the air in here. It tastes a little bit stale, like the recyclers have been working as long as they can. And you can almost taste like a little bit of a metallic flavor with it. As soon as you're both in, though, you can kind of hear the static kind of start to murmur through your speakers. Something now that you notice more than you were just on your ship.
Well, I guess we go to the first. There's got to be some sort of, not necessarily a directory, but some sort of signage at like the corridor points telling us what is where. Was my guess.
So pretty much. I'm
assuming they have a life support module that we need to get to, or the command center.
They do.
I use my flashlight if we need more light.
So you can, as you go down the service tunnel, it doesn't take you very long before you actually reach what looks to be a module that is designated as the life support to your right. And then you also see a module that's designated as trash storage. Both, and then ahead of that, you see a module that is labeled as storage. How do you approach these?
I want to go to the door to life support.
You notice that the door to the life support
So
it
there
isn't
isn't
locked.
there isn't a map like Jeff asked.
No, there's not a map.
I thought there'd at least be signs. Like nobody designs a ship so that nobody knows where anything is.
Right. Usually
gotta
there's
be
like a
signs
key
with
code that
arrows
tells you
and
where
stuff.
things go, where things are, but there's just signs that say what the modules are, which are
Correct.
life support and storage.
Life support, storage, and trash are the 3 modules that you have access to.
So
we're going to life support.
We'll check life support first.
Okay. So going into the life support, it's actually energy and life support. You find that there's a terminal, and you can actually see that the terminal itself is running as basically prompts and everything like that to effectively complete a system reboot. The system reboot, from your experience, Jeff, would pretty much be like a way to restore power, if possible, from this location. This
So
would enable. Go ahead.
So just make sure the hub that we were in, you said there were three modules. So we went up the tunnel. There's one module to the left, which is which.
Well, one module to the left, which was the trash. One module straight, which is the storage room, and one module to the right, which was energy and life support.
All right. Is there any information on any of the gauges or anything telling me that, as I look at stuff before I do a reboot, to see if there's something easier than a reboot?
So what you're saying here is that so you're looking for something easier than a reboot. The codes that you can basically access and everything like that is that there is a full system reboot. However, you can do a shortcut if you'd like. And what that shortcut will do will restore power to the rest of the station. There is, however, a chance that you could trigger an emergency lockdown protocol for any applicable doors that it's tied to. From here, you can see that there are certain security doors that would be impacted by this. So either way, you could still restore power, but you would have to do a little bit of tech magic here to.
We'll just do the regular reboot. I was hoping there was some sort of a warning light with a reset under it that
You said it's storage trash.
Whatever system is affected could be handled. But yeah, if there's nothing like that, then I'm just going to do a full reboot.
Okay. So while the system's rebooting, Jeff is kind of managing that part. Brent, you asked what again?
You said it's storage trash ahead of us?
Yeah, so straight ahead would have been the storage room, and to the left would have been the trash room.
Okay.
Do you go in the trash or the storage?
No, I'm gonna wait until the cycle.
Okay,
Jeff.
All right. So
so taking storage together.
So taking a moment, you notice that as soon as the cycle completes, which takes about 10 minutes at this point, pretty much all the emergency lights and everything shuts down, including the air recycler and everything like that. And you're voided. No, and then it just takes a moment, but you see the rest of the lights start to blink on. The emergency code has been cleared. The actual life support system kicks in, and you can literally hear the sound of fresh air going through the rest through the station at this point. What other information are you looking for on this computer now that it's fully booted back up?
Power levels, capabilities, see if it's got any information about the whatever decompression happened. Like hull integrity, whatever I can see before we try to advance.
Whatever helps us not die on the ship.
Okay. So
whether that's available from this station, I don't honestly know. But
so looking at the station itself, it almost gives you like a 3D rendering of the station. and it points out areas which are effectively areas of concern. The closest area that you can see is that to the storage room that's it's next to you is that the storage room shows that there's been a short circuit or some sort of tampering with the lock on that's connected to the dock spacecraft. So it's basically flashing red that's not an appropriate code that the dock spacecraft has.
That's the ship that we saw, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then you also notice that when you do a kind of like you're looking at the one room that's looks like it's been vented. The venting, it's showing that there's, the room itself exploded. It indicates that there are that there are two transponder for crew that are in there. Transponder life signs negative, and you see basically that that it doesn't register any way to seal the breach at this point, since the hull itself had ripped out.
Okay. But it looks like whatever the containment methods are holding.
And that is where in relationship to where we are?
So if you go, you'll have to go through the storage room in order to get to what's known as the living space. And it's a branch off of the living space.
Okay.
And then from there, there's also off the living space, there's a lab. This is the information that it says like about the lab is interesting because you kind of figure that the lab is where your research data would be located. But any attempt to access what happened to the lab basically says user restricted. So you can't actually see you can't see cameras into the lab. You can't access any aspect of the lab, which is too bad.
Do you have access to other cameras in the station?
You can, yeah. So the cameras that you can access to is you can pretty much access all the cameras except for the lab at this point. So that gives you access to
Do we see any life signs on any of the cameras? Any bodies, any movement, any?
So cycling through the cameras, you do see that there is what looks to be a body in the trash, the trash compartment. You also see in the med bay that the camera, even though it kind of flickers in and out with static, you see two corpses that are floating in space in the area where the med bay was. Seems as though they, kind of doing that horrible thing there.
So life support isn't working in there?
In the med bay? The med bay that's the vented place.
Okay.
Where it's
That's the exploded place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And where is that in relation? So we go straight through the storage room out into the living area. The living area, which way is the med bay from the living area?
It would be to the right. So if you walked into the living area, you'd go to the right. There'd be the med bay, and straight would be the lab.
Okay. And where is the connection? Because we kind of parked next to the cargo ship. That connection, that airlock to the cargo ship that's given us the warning. How far away from that are we?
Not very. You just have to go to the storage room, and that's an access hatch off of there.
Okay, let's check the body and the garbage, since the garbage is right here, and then go to the storage room.
Okay, yeah, we'll go check the trash first.
Okay. So, so basically, as you get into the trash, you see, effectively there's refuse that's in here. It's all been packaged and everything like that for jettisoning or however they handle it on this station. You do see Brent, you can immediately tell is the corpse. There's basically a badge that says that the name for this person is Jensen. They have a hole in their head, and in their right hand they have a pistol. You see that there is one bullet, and it looks like this gun has seen better day. Its condition is 1.
I will take the handgun,
Mhm.
and How many bullets does it have?
It has one left.
Okay.
So you can tell based on your experience that it has been fired, and this is it looks like they took themselves out with the second to last bullet.
And it's condition 1, you said?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it does 1d6 damage.
Okay.
And I take his key card in case we need it for another door.
Good call.
Okay.
Well, you needed it for the airlock door. So.
No, I know. Serious.
You needed it for the door that was exposed to space. So
yeah.
Well,
you don't want people just willy-nilly opening doors out into the void.
I would think you would see a spaceship coming before it attached to your space station. But yeah. So then I was searching for anything else, extra ammo, anything like that.
Nope.
I said he looks like he killed himself. I assume
Did
something.
You check his wallet? It's a joke. It's a joke.
I have his badge.
Yeah, we got his badge. All right.
How do I do bank transfers?
Anything else? Anything else interesting without digging through all of the garbage? Anything else stand out? Okay.
Nope.
Is there anything else in the garbage that is good salvage?
No. This is the type of refuse that there's no. They can't be recycled into components or anything like that, which is why it's in this area.
Okay.
So off to the storage room.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, unless Yuval has something he wants to do.
No, that's fine.
All right.
That's why we have to go to get to everything. So
yeah, it kind of feels that way. So.
Yeah, the storage room is kind of an in-between. You pass through it to get to a lot of places. And what you notice is that when you get into the storage room, there is actually some good stuff in here. There's lab and medical tools. It looks like there's spare parts and everything like that. You see that there's some other tools, and what draws your eye is that there's actually a crowbar in here. So
I'll take the crowbar. Any bullets?
There are no bullets in the storage room.
Any bullets? Oh, for the gun, not the crowbar. Sorry,
not for the crowbar.
That was a. I don't know where my brain went, but it wasn't.
So does the crowbar just count as a melee weapon?
It does.
Okay.
So now you have 3 weapons, and I have 0.
I'm not saying that. I give you the club.
That you're not more capable with all of the weapons.
You can have the club that I was carrying with me beforehand, which is just like a piece of the ship.
Okay.
Or a table
I do
leg.
like that. Is there any bullets for that crowbar? I really want.
I want a James Bond crowbar, man. I want a crowbar that pries and also.
And the gun is barely a
bullets.
weapon. It has 1 bullet.
I know. And you're better qualified. You are more qualified to use it. I completely agree.
So I shove the 1 bullet gun in my robes, and I keep the crowbar out to use as a club.
Okay.
Fucking
so
Half-Life.
Acquired a crowbar.
I'll fucking Half-Life some shit.
Fair enough.
Sure, that works. Fair enough. Anything else? The EVA suits, food, water?
Not in here, no.
Okay.
But this is the room that obviously goes off to the dock spaceship, and this is where you saw the error message showing.
Yeah, I at least wanted to check out the error message and make sure that we're not venting atmosphere out into space or something.
Okay.
Try and see what's going on.
All right. So here is something that you see. Here's something that you see that draws your attention pretty immediately as you go towards the barge's door. As you can see that there's dents in the hull or in the actual door itself, and there's just blood that is each of these dents. It looks like somebody is pounded with a fist or something like that, and blood.
Okay, the dents are coming in towards me from the ship,
or
out away from me towards the ship.
Towards the ship.
Towards the ship. No, I'm in the station, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it looks like something or somebody pounded against the door, basically trying to break in, but they did not succeed with just strength alone.
And do we see anything is there? I'm assuming there's some sort of a window in an airlock.
In this case, yeah, you can kind of see that there's a window there. just to kind of look out, but it looks like something has covered it from the other side.
I look at you, Vol, and I go, I don't know if we should try to open this or not.
Well, we have to try and open it, try and get to where we can get to the lab. We have to go through here to get to the lab.
No, the dock spaceship. No, he's because Brent.
Oh,
he's
the
talking
dock
about this.
spaceship.
He's talking about the spaceship,
Which is where?
which is after you go into the storage. It's to the right. Straight through is to the living area.
Okay.
Um,
So okay. We skip it.
Yeah, we'll come back to this. I agree. So that
okay.
How much blood can we see?
There's quite a bit, and as you're examining the door, the comm flickers to life, and it says, How many of you are there? Don't come any closer. Stand where I can see you under the lights. Both of you now.
What lights?
The lights that you turned on with the station.
Well, I know, but they're all over the station. Like that is a. It's not like we're hiding in the shadows.
True. In front of the door is what they specified.
Okay. There's two of us. We're here to render assistance. Who am I speaking to?
Through the mic, you hear kind of like a rushed. You're not from Zionia. Zionia. There we go. You're not from Zionia. You don't look like Zionia people. Who sent you? What did they tell you this place was?
We were in the area and saw that there had been some sort of a decompression or an explosion on your station, and there were no life signs when we scanned. So we're here to render aid and see if anybody's still alive.
Okay.
I have not heard of Zionia. We are not from Zionia.
Have we heard of Zionia as a company or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
The only thing that the only thing that you have is cryptically in that message there was an XG. That's the only thing that maybe.
Yeah, we don't need to tell him that though.
Okay, and this is a female voice.
We don't need to tell him that though.
So can we tell if the voice is coming from inside the station or from the cargo ship?
They want us to stand in front of the cargo ship door, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I assume they're in the cargo ship.
Yep.
Okay.
So, why don't we pause there for today? We have your first interaction with one of the
Sorry,
crew
just
members.
Trying to take notes.
And we'll see what happens when we get back here next week.
Okay.
So, question: how far away is the decompression from the other ship? Because they're both on the right side. So, did the decompression not hit their ship?
It did not. No. So if you imagine that the kind of in between the compartments is enough of a space for this small, the barge that's in between there, and if you imagine the compartment literally bananaed out, kind of like parallel to them, but it didn't damage their ship at all.
Okay.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we got on the ship. We have a mysterious voice on an intercom.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're just going to leave here because screw them.
Well, she's asking a lot of questions for somebody that's in a seemingly semi-desperate situation.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming if she could leave, she would have.
Would have already. Yeah, that's all.
I don't know. We'll find out next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave you with some questions as to how you can approach this individual. So yeah, that's step one. 12 is apparently a hard number in a game where it feels like you don't have any.
It's less than 50-50, Mike.
Yeah, it's true. So
yeah, and I remember I have a -1. I lose 5% on every roll.
He's at less than 50-50.
-1, -1, -2, and a 0. But we haven't encountered anything that's savvy yet. So
like it's less than 50% of the. It's like because it's a coin flip every time we roll. I'm a little bit better than a coin flip with +1. I'm 5%. I'm 55%, whereas Jeff is 45% ish. I think that's how the math works out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's tough. Well, we'll see what happens next week, and
right.
we'll go from there. If you made it this far and you want to hear us play more Death in Space, and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be playing this again next week. We like to post videos from playing just random games, and so if you have suggestions as to what games we should look at and everything like that, our upcoming docket includes Night's Black Agents and Dolanwood, so we'll be taking a look at those. But we're always interested in looking at other games. And in fact, I just saw an Indie Game Award that apparently had a bunch of games I've never even heard of. So it's time to look at some of those and see if those can be played easily and for fun. So
Nice.
if outside of the comments, Jeff, how do people talk with us or talk with Brent on social media?
You can find us on social media, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Twitter. We are at Rollwise. You can also email us. We are rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
And as always, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you here. Roll well, roll wise, be safe out there, everybody.
Thanks. Everyone.